Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Diablo 3 and the Witch Doctor playthrough. Oh, it's been a while, hasn't it? Yeah, I've been away, but today is a good day because we're continuing on with patch 2.1. So Reaper of Souls is out, now the ladder or season patch is out, which came with some very nice changes and included greater rifts, legendary gems, and things like that. So a lot of real nice changes on this patch. Fortunately, most of them really won't be affecting this playthrough, but it's still been great. I've been putting out videos for it, obviously. I've been doing a hardcore challenge, which has been kind of fun. Today is a day that, as I promised in the last one, we're going to take a look at Rafiki as he existed prior to Reaper of Souls, and kind of how his build was put together and some of his items. I mean, we can already take a look at his items, and you can kind of look at, it's kind of funny where you were back then when you were running through normal, Nightmare, Hell, and Inferno. And I think we got through, what, Nightmare? Or we're partially through Nightmare, we're level 43. We might have been going through Hell, actually. It's been a while. Well, we can see we've got basically a smattering of blues and yellows, not a single legendary to be found. I actually had some upgraded boots apparently here in my inventory. We can take a look at some of the things we had, like 78 weapon damage, some... Look at that, I mean, with Dex, Intelligence, Vital, like the rolls were kind of all over the place. A lot of the rolls are now, like, look at Strength on these shoulders now. I think they've taken away these hybrid rolls altogether, haven't they? Because I can't even think now of gear that drops nowadays. Most gear does not drop with multiple stat choices anymore. There were a few optional, or a few items that had multiple stats they did roll for. I believe like one item of the Zodiac or something like that, which had like one of every stat, but I think they changed that with 2-1. There's definitely it's definitely a very different set of gear back then. Before the whole smart loot system. I mean, look at this. It's not bad. It's not terrible. My healing, though, look at that. 21 healing. I mean, you really didn't get much healing. My toughness is 19. Of course, some of that's changed with dexterity is armor now with the new 2.1 patch, so I'm getting some additional armor that I didn't have before with some of this gear that has dex on it. That's kind of neat. Looking at my build, at the time, it's kind of hard to really tell what some of these were. We got Flaming Dart, obviously. It was supposed to be doing more damage as fire. And that was one of the obvious choices next to Splinter. We had Zombie Charger with Explosive Beast, so we were going for a fire build, pretty much it looked like. So more damage here, more damage on the Fire Beast. I can't tell what hex I was using at the time, because this hex has been replaced with Toad of Hugeness, which is one we'll have to look at. I didn't like Toad of Hugeness on the Reign of Toads, but as a hex it might be okay. So I'll be looking forward to that later, and of course we had Spirit Walk with Umbral Shock. So looking at a lot of damage there, and of course the Gargantuan with Cleave. And Mass Confusion. Any enemies that were not confused were stunned. I mean, it's not bad. Not a bad build at all. But this is old Rafiki. Let's see if we can't leave the game and maybe compare stats directly. Can I do that? Heroes. Alright, so looking at old Rafiki, let's just kind of compare, right? Old Rafiki had strength 390. This guy has 50. Dex, 178. Rafiki, 50. So I have no strength, no dex. So yeah, I have no hybrid gear whatsoever. Comparatively, intelligence, 766 and 453 vitality, right? Comparing the new one, 1,600. Over double the intelligence. Wow. Well, 453 vital. What is mine? 1270. Yeah, lots different. I have 770 DPS on the old character and 3,000 on the new. Now, that's not a big deal because with the old system, you weren't running into things that you had to have that much damage on, but I'm running on a much different difficulty curve now, so I kind of need it. But the toughness alone, I mean, we're looking at 69,000 here, 19,000 here. This guy just wouldn't hack it. If I were to go back to this character and try and play through it, I would probably have to lower the difficulty a little bit until his gear caught up. It's kind of interesting, though. You look at it, the helmet is mostly the same. But that's about it. You can kind of see the differences there. As far as build goes, you can see we were going for more of a... Got some Locusts and some dogs. Yeah, it's a pretty different build. I was using Sycophants, Spirit Vessel, Vision Quest. Yeah, Very, very different character. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go onto the old guy here. We're going to get rid of him. I don't need him anymore. We're at the same level. His gear is pretty much pointless, so I'm just going to disenchant it and add it to the pool of crafting materials that my current Witch Doctor can have. But while we're here, one nice change. I love this, the salvage all button. That is fantastic. So we're going to take away everything he's got. And we are going to put all this in a tab.
Hey, mister.
And we will give it to my current character, since they were pretty much one and the same. Just seeing if there's anything else. Yeah, see, we had a bunch of yellows and blues there. And Arana. Get rid of those. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All of these will be going towards the greater good. So I have a bunch of crafting materials and a few gems here as well. So I'll just go ahead and throw these into my final stash tab that got unlocked with this patch. There we go. Don't need anything else. So ladies and gentlemen, we bid farewell to the old Rafiki. He had a good run. Alright, just comparing here, now that we're on the new version, we can see that, I mean, there's one blue, but it's pretty much all yellows. And then, of course, I've got my two legendaries here. And, of course, the Tall Man's Finger, which we got from killing the Butcher last time. We're actually moving on to Act 2, which is kind of nice. Now, as far as this patch is concerned for Witch Doctors, really not a lot of changes. There are some weapon damage percentages that were adjusted here and there. And there have been some skills that have changed their element. There have been elemental changes. So what that means is some of these abilities might have an element that they didn't have before. I don't know all of them, unfortunately. Medusa getting changed to cold, I think, was one of them. Explosive Toad's fire, I believe that was always the case. But not everything has changed, so... But there has been a few changes here and there. Alright, so let me get re-familiar with what we've got here. We've got Fire Pit with the Fire Pool. Zombie Charger with the Explosive Dogs. The Locust Swarm with the enemies killed while affected by Locust Swarm leave a cloud behind. Now, I do believe that they have changed it. This is a quality of life thing that's, I think all characters that share this kind of ability have, is that this will now proc on assists. So it used to be Locust Swarm itself had to get the killing blow to leave this behind. Now the Locust Swarm will happen if the enemy dies as long as they're afflicted with Locust Swarm. So that's pretty nice. It's a big change there, because it used to be these only happened every now and then. Now it should happen all the time, anytime I get that proc on them. Alright, what do we have? Siphon for life, and we of course have the zombie dogs. Now, speaking of zombie dogs, there's been a change to sacrifice, so I'll be looking forward to actually trying sacrifice in the future. Sacrifice used to blow up all the dogs right where they stood, and it's a skill that I've said repeatedly up on this entire playthrough. I don't care for, I don't like. There are certain times I might have used it, maybe with low cooldowns on the zombie dogs, or maybe if I had a chance to get my dogs back, which there was a build I actually enjoyed where the dogs kept refreshing every time I blew them up. But it was still not something I overly cared for. Now, with sacrifice, you only sacrifice one dog at a time, and they will launch themselves where you're pointing your mouse and blow up there. So you can actually launch dogs to a specific location, not worry about where the dogs are, and you only have to kill one at a time. Which is really great. Really great. Now, when it comes into play with my Tall Man's Finger, that means I only have one dog. And that one dog will, of course, kill himself, but he will kill himself with the combined strength of all the dogs that he represents. But it means that I can only do one sacrifice, and so I would be blowing him up entirely.
My friend,
Lots of good changes. Well, now we're moving on. We're going into Act 2. Alright, and for this playthrough, since we do have our new merchant here, our new artisan, we will of course talk to Miriam. She's got a couple things to say, so we're going to go over each of these.
You seem down today. Tell me what Miriam can do for you.
The spirits speak to me of the great evil the Coven does.
These are not happy things.
Those spirits of yours need to lighten up. So the demon lords want to crush all humanity beneath their heel. Does that mean you can't smile? The cultists are making a great mess of things out in the desert. They deserve the painful death you will bring to them.
What does the Coven mean to do?
They are torturing and killing innocent villagers to lure you into their trap. But you'll get the better of them, won't you? An enchanting young woman, who is much more than her youth suggests, will come to your aid today. She can be of great help to you, so try to be polite, will you?
Why is her aid important to me this day? What will happen?
The Coven will use deception to try to ambush you. Ugh, how predictable.
Wait, back up a moment. What was that you said about an enchanting young woman?
Ah, Celdo, unlike me, she will be immune to your charming advances. But it doesn't hurt to try, does
it? And we even had a little remark there from Lyndon. I like that.
I was just talking to Hedrick. He is still denying his grief. He really needs to open up. If he would just let me comfort him, it would do him a world of good.
Well, we know who she has her sights on.
Through the Cassim.
Something tells me this will be an interesting journey.
Take heed, traveler. Cultists guard these desert roads, and they will slay any who pass.
They may find that difficult. I have come to kill them and their leader.
Then you must not go alone. I shall accompany you.
Well now, it's my lucky day.
There are illusions out there. Mirages to some. But I can see them for what they are. The Coven's foul magic. They will lead you to your death.
I appreciate your concern, but these cultists are known to you. I will not bear their traps.
Now, it's unfortunate that my dogs appear to not be able to go up the hill there when some of these bees that cover this area wish to hide, or these guys, but I can hit them with the firebomb at least.
Need more mana.
Now, one change they did make to Locust Swarm is that it should put you into position
I am an enchantress.
if you're out of position, so it won't just go off.
Thank you, Irene.
Well, I am also looking for someone. But here, let me clear the way for you.
Captain, from behind!
Go ahead and kind of do that now. So if I click, and you can see, yep, he moved in, and there it infected him. Now this one does leave the cloud of locusts. So I'm gonna try and take a look for that, just to make sure that it is going off as I anticipate it.
If not more than...
Let us head north to the Howling Plateau.
Just need an enemy. Here we go. So he dies, and there you can kind of see it. It's not super easy to see, but you know that those will be spawning. How long do they last? 3 seconds? Well, that's not too bad. So if you've got a pretty big group of enemies, and they start walking on top of each other as they die, it's a good amount of damage that can occur.
There's another illusion here. The cultists try to hide their footsteps.
So now I'm looking for a whole bunch of invisible footprints.
We can find their lairs and halt the rituals. I will seek out any other traces of their magic.
The damage is good so far. Not taking a lot to kill enemies.
There's something coming.
Oh good, an elite pack. We can go ahead and get this shot here with our newly acquired zombie dog. Vision Quest is very welcome here. I've been using up a lot of mana.
I need mana.
See, my dog is definitely taking a bit of damage. Can I stand in that desecrator? Apparently I can. My healing, I think that's going to be a big thing, is my healing. Because one thing that this patch did do, and that could be another reason why I'm not going to have too much trouble here, is they did increase the amount of life regeneration and life on hit effects. So life on hit and life per second got massive boost here. As you can see, I got 1,000 life per hit now, and only 148 life per second. But 1,000 life per hit, and that happens each time I cast on my 23,000 bar here. That's not too bad. Not too shabby at all.
Need more mana.
Build's a bit slow though, I can definitely feel that. So looking forward to gaining level, trying out a slightly different build, see what abilities we get.
This is one of the cultist lairs. They are casting part of the illusion inside.
As long as you aren't an illusion too.
Whatever do you mean?
You know, I didn't intend for that, but that timing was perfect. What do you mean? Flesh! He likes her flesh. Oh, you know, I've mentioned it before, I'll say it again. Lyndon is probably my favorite character, especially the followers.
The ritual is disrupted.
Favorite of the followers. Now, when it comes to favorite characters, I have my preferences to Covetous Shin and Zoltan Cool. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I have to apologize, because apparently I made a mistake. I leveled, and I believe I leveled with the Butcher, and I forgot to go over new skills. I may have leveled a little before him. So, new skills that I have that weren't on my bar that I should be using. Alright, I've gone ahead and put the 3 on for now. We've got Poison Dart with Flaming Dart. So, you can kind of see some of the abilities I had on the old Rafiki are matching what I have now. So these 3 in particular. Poison Dart with Flaming Dart. This rune ignites the dart and it does 565% weapon damage as fire over 4 seconds. So you've still got the initial hit. You've got that 185 weapon damage, and then does the 40%. Well, that instead of the additional poison percent, it's got the weapon over time. Now, I believe that's the case. We'll try and take a look, see if it does an initial hit. In which case, we'll have to see if it does something equivalent to 185. But instead of having the 40 over time, 40 is poison over 2, you've got 565 over 4. It may be that the initial component is taken away due to this. Well, let's look at this. 565 over 4. We're looking at about 141 weapon damage per second. So it's probably still got an initial hit, just because that's less than what the initial hit of this is. And 40 over 2 is just 20% weapon damage. So we'll take a look, see if it gets the initial hit, but getting that additional 140 over time is pretty nice. And it's kind of comparable here. 3 poison diets to do 110 each, so that's 310. Yeah, so it's comparable. So it's probably got the initial hit, but it's more damage over time, and it's a fire skill for your fire elemental needs. Now, Hex gets Toad of Hugeness. Toad of Hugeness used to be on the Reign of Toad, so this is completely new to me. Don't know how I like it, though, because, well, you know what? It's really not that different from what Hex already does. Hex would turn an enemy into a chicken, and that enemy would be out of play. It couldn't do it to elites, it couldn't do it to bosses. But it added additional damage to those enemies as well. Of course, elites and bosses couldn't get that, which has always been the downside of Hex. Something I always thought that, hey, you know, maybe Hex should at least apply a debuff, even if it doesn't turn him into a chicken. The downside, of course, you lose hedge magic, which is really nice. I like the fact that that does heal periodically. But what Toad of Hugeness gives you is kind of the same benefit of Hex, but does a little more damage. So rather than the enemy taking more damage, the enemy is taken out of play, and they take a bunch of damage over time. So the giant toad will swallow enemies up to 5 seconds, and it does 580 of your weapon damage per second as poison. So that can be quite a bit. We're looking at the 580. If it lasts the entire 5 seconds, you're looking at 2,900 weapon damage. That is huge, really.
About making positive changes in your life? I don't.
You put that down, you get a bunch of damage to one enemy. Now the downside of that, I mean, granted, it's a lot of damage to one enemy, but you lose what Hex has in the first place, and that's a Shaman for 12 seconds. So it lasts longer, and the Shaman had a chance to Hex multiple enemies. So he might Hex one, a couple seconds later Hex another. So you can only do one thing at a time, but it's still a lot of damage for that. So it could still be quite useful. Alright, which is better than what it was before, because honestly putting that on as the Toads didn't feel that useful. Alright, Mass Confusion. So this is the Incite Paranoia. Confuses enemies for 12 seconds. They fight for you. Mass Hysteria will up to 6 enemies who are not confused. So this will affect... Let's see... Doesn't have a limit, it looks like, but the other one, the stun, has a limit. So 6 enemies who are not confused will be stunned. So I'm basically in an area, if I fail to stun them, they're going to be... or fail to confuse them, they're going to be stunned. Which is great. So I should be guaranteed to basically affect everything in the area of effect. If I kind of hit that. Everything should be affected. Either it'll be confused or stunned. One or the other. Alright, so based around this, I've got my zombie dog. Really like my zombie dog. I don't really have like a primary spender. Now here's an interesting one. Devouring Swarm was changed as well. It used to be you gain mana per every enemy that it jumped to. Now you gain 25 mana a second, while the first enemy that was hit by it is still affected by the swarm. So what that means is that Devouring Swarm is an ability you may want to actually put on the most powerful of the enemies you're fighting, because it'll last longer. If you put it on a tiny enemy and that enemy dies, you're not going to get the full benefit. You put this on an enemy, a big enemy, and let it sit there so you can get a bunch of mana back over time. Now, I can certainly use that, but if I'm going to do that, I probably want to get something that's probably going to cost a bit. So maybe I'll get Zombie Charger again and get the zombie dogs. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and do this. We'll change it up a bit. I will put it here, put that there. Actually, we'll put that there. We will put Hex on 5. And so we'll go ahead and get Zombie Charger. And get the Explosive Beast again. Alright, so we'll go ahead and do that. So plenty of fire. We have some cold with the Locust Swarm, which is a good thing to use Locust Swarm because I do have the slows enemies by 80%. As a matter of fact, because of that, I may even want to go with this, the Cloud of Insects. Normally this isn't one I really care for, because all it does is double the weapon damage, double the duration, which means it's essentially the exact same thing as the base, it just lasts longer so you don't have to apply it more often. But with something like my belt that slows enemies a lot, Cloud of Insects is a very nice synergy with the belt I'm wearing. So... for now, though, we're going to do Devouring, just to kind of play around with the new mana regen mechanic. Do I want to continue to use Vision Quest? Do I want to buff my dog? Because if I get Zombie Handler, my zombie dog will become more powerful. It will gain 1 additional zombie dog worth of power and health. And of course it will increase its life even further. Is a tough choice. I may do that just because I have the Dead Man's Finger. I kind of like that. Thinking of keeping the Fetish Sycophants, which was modified as well. It used to be only physical spells, I believe, that procced it. Now any spell will. When you hit enemies with your spells, you have a 10% chance. So the chance is reduced, but all spells are affected. Meaning, overall, it should be about the same. Certain combinations of skills will be better. Alright. Oh, man. It's kind of hard to want to really replace Vision Quest when I'm going to be using something like Zombie Charger. But hopefully, Locust Swarm will be worth it. No, I don't think I need it. We won't increase the power of the dog today. So we'll get a little bit of gameplay with this build. Huh. No, it looks like it doesn't have the initial hit anymore. So, Poison Dart with the Flaming Dart is not as good as I kind of like, because you lose that initial hit, and it takes time for something to proc. See, like there, I hit it. Like if I hit this, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's still going to do a lot of damage. It's going to do just going to do that damage over time. But it's good to know that the initial hit no longer counts. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and throw down the Toad of Hugeness at some point here. Give it a shot, like now. You can see he swallowed one. He's still got one in its stomach, I think. He probably killed it. So I want to make sure that I throw that down as much as possible, because it is his cooldown ability. It does not have...
Need more time.
It does not have a mana cost. Now, one downside there I did notice is it tried to eat something that it couldn't eat. And it just sat there afterwards. So it makes one attempt. If it hits something that it can't do it with, if it can't devour it, it just sits there. Because there were other targets there of opportunity.
Needs more time.
See, like, if we bring these guys down... So there is one major downside to Toad of Hugeness. I mean, yeah, he can pull someone out of combat, he can do quite a bit of damage there, but he will never try to pick another target if his target is dead. If they could modify that, if they could do that, get it to do that, I think it would be a much better skill. As it is, you kind of have to be careful with it, and possibly lead it on to hit a target that you want. Because he could just end up sitting there not doing anything, and he's got a 15-second cooldown. Is that the same as regular Hex? Yeah, 15-second cooldown. So 15-second cooldown of him not doing anything. Oh, okay, he can take elites out. I have to take back what I said before, I apologize.
Need more time.
He can't take bosses out, though. That's quite a bit of damage that he can do to an elite, and taking one elite out of combat is pretty nice. You know, one less major source of damage to deal with, I could certainly get behind that. I think that would be a good thing, actually. So I'm slowly, very slowly, turning around to this whole idea that Toad of Hugeness may actually be decent. Well, looks like we found a legendary dagger randomly in a chest. This makes me happy. Let's see what we got. Oh, the barber. A new transmog. I haven't had that one before. So, holy damage, plus 3% damage, 237 int, critical hit damage increase. Wow. It rolled a little bit of everything, didn't it? Look at that. It's even got a socket for me to play around with. And it's giving me 52% additional damage. This is great. Precision instrument for a Master of the Blade. Well, let's take a look at this thing, shall we? Go ahead and put this on. This is fantastic. I've got 3 legendaries to my name now. Let's actually hit escape, I think might be the best way to see that. You can kind of see blood dripping from the blade. Nice design to it, too. Well, since I've found a few items along the way, let's see if anything was an upgrade. Doesn't look like it. Nope, sources say no. Critical hit damage ring. I'd give it to Lyndon, but critical hit damage doesn't help him none because he doesn't have critical hit chance. Oh, 1.8. Well, I guess it could. Hold on. His damage goes from 525 to 527. There. Just take it. Take it, please. With my blessing. Alright, I got a perfect ruby to go ahead and throw into this. My damage is now at 5,000. What was it before when I was using this? At 3,300. It is now 5,000. And with this gem, 5,600. I've gained 2,000 weapon damage just by changing this weapon out. Oh dear. Let's see what kind of
Not ready yet.
damage we end up putting out. Now, one thing about the fire dart that I've noticed is that it appears to stack with itself. So the 565 over 4, the more I put it down, the more it stacks on the enemy. So they will start taking more damage over time. Jeez. Resplendent chests are actually pretty nice nowadays, aren't they? Anything good? No, only vitality, no int, it looks like. Not a very good mojo, but we did get a Voodoo mask with some int and vitality and some life per second. Replacing our life per hit. Yeah, 2 damage and 50% toughness. We'll go ahead and do that. Looking good. 5-7. Oh, hello there. Mass Hysteria. You may notice in the upper left-hand corner, too, as I'm fighting, I have this new little icon here that shows how many Voodoo soldiers I have. There are 2 counters now, one for the Sycophants and one for the army, for the Fetish army. For people that have builds revolving around those. Well, this will be interesting. A secret chest for 100 enemies. Let's see if I can do it.
My power
It gives me a level at least, level 44.
I do not have enough mana.
Spirit Barrage, Horrify with Frightening Aspect. Big Bad Voodoo with Slam Dance.
Not ready yet.
Running out of mana very quickly here.
The spirits aid me.
Yeah, it's not the best sustain build. I got 72 before the time ran out. And pretty much 30% into level thanks to that. Good amount of experience. No legendaries, but a few items, which means we'll have to go back to town and put some of these away. Alright, so we'll go ahead and we will go... We'll see if there's any upgrades, crafting-wise, and we'll take a look at the abilities that we've learned. So first and foremost, let's just salvage all... God, I love this button. These buttons. Alright, and with that in mind, let's just take a quick look. Can I upgrade anything? I'm pretty sure I won't be able to with the dagger, because that's like a 43 legendary. Let's just move on to armor. Artist anybody on the Houge Wrap. And I think I am going to trade out Locust Swarm for the longer lasting one, and probably trade out Zombie Charger for something a little more efficient. Boots we're sitting good on. Ooh, we have Auglids. That's right. 2 3-piece set, 4-piece set altogether actually, which reduces damage from melee attacks and reduces damage from ranged attacks. 2-piece set gives melee reduction, 3-piece gives ranged attack reduction. So this is something I definitely could make. I only have 3 of the legendary crafting materials that I need, so it's not something I see myself getting right away. It definitely could be an upgrade at this point. But I am getting fire skills increase at this point, which is Flaming Dart. Maybe I'll get a fire-based alt. There's Auglid's Domination, so that would be a better chest piece. We can go ahead and craft these gloves. Let's see if that's any better. Nope, nope. Rolled fairly poorly, actually. Let's try one more time. Nope. Okay, I'm done with that because it's not too big of a deal. Helm-wise, oh wow, so there's actually a better helm here, and there's even Auglids here, which this one still does have one of every stat, which is kind of interesting. When they made the changes to dexterity, because dexterity now counts as armor instead of dodge rate, they kind of changed that. A lot of the items that give it don't give it anymore. What that means is that this helm is probably one of the best helms you can get at this level, just armor-wise. It's got a secondary effective magic find, it's got plus to armor on it, it's got plus to strength, plus to dex, plus to int, plus to vital. This is super survivability here. 3 random properties. You'd have to hope that it rolls with additional intelligence, though, otherwise my helmet would be much better. I mean, the thing about that is 56 and 69 strength, I mean, that's armor, pure armor. Dex, same thing. If I rolled perfect strength, perfect dex, perfect armor on this thing, it would just be amazing as far as toughness is concerned. I'm considering making one just because of that, but let's make this helmet first. See if we get anything good. No, not really. Not having much luck here. Alright, I'm using the Scoundrel. I'm using, he's got a level 41 token. Okay, he's using a 32. So let's go ahead and get a new Scoundrel token. And it looks like the only shoulder upgrade is Ogled's as well. So, yeah, it's kind of taunting me, telling me you want these items. And I'm like, yes, I do. But the only brimstone I have is not available to me. Oh, no way. Re-roll that. Man, I'm rolling terribly. There we go. 195 dex, 175. Yeah, give that to him.
Suits me.
Alright, so let's look at maybe a secondary. No, we gotta get our new build actually. So we hit level 42. Or no, not 42, 44. So we're gonna get Slam Dance. So let's put that under where Hex is. Big Bad Voodoo. So Big Bad Voodoo is the Fetish ritual that increases attack and movement speed. Slam Dance also increases the damage of all allies by 30%. So you put that down, your damage goes up quite a bit. So you're looking at 20% damage increase, or 20% attack speed increase, and a 30% damage increase, as compared to the Jungle Drums, which just doubles the duration, or no, not even doubles, that's 20 to 30, so it's only 10 seconds more. Which is kind of nice. That's a good amount of damage sustained over time, but this is like a good amount of damage burst, and honestly I think it's more damage in general. So moving on from Slam Dance, we've got, looks like Spirit Barrage and Horrify. Alright, so Spirit Barrage, and we're getting Phlebotomize, I believe. It's like bloodletting or something like that, which is odd that it's cold still. It's actually kind of nice that Spirit Barrage in general has a lot of cold into it, but alright, Spirit Barrage, that's the one that bombards the enemy with Spirit Bolts that do 425 damage, and Phlebotomize is each Spirit Bolt has a 4% chance to charm its target for 4 seconds. That's not bad, considering that Spirit Barrage is a lot of bolts. It's 4 bolts with 1 cast, so that's 4 times that 4% chance. So you might think about, even though it doesn't work this way, like a 16% chance. Random is random. You don't really just add them up that way. It's a 4% chance per bolt, but you know, you think about it, in total might be a 16%, and that's with each bolt. So if you're casting on multiple enemies, you're going to have several chances to basically charm an enemy. So what I'm thinking of doing is we'll go ahead and get rid of Zombie Charger and put on Spirit Barrage for that. Now, since I'm going to be using Spirit Barrage, one thing I want to do is take a look at my mana regeneration in the form of Vision Quest. So Vision Quest says it gives me 30% increased mana regeneration for 5 seconds whenever I hit something. So 30%, that's not bad, but let's take a look at what my actual mana regeneration is. Look at my resources, it's 50. So I'm getting what? Is 15 more? Let's just go ahead and do it. 50 times 50%. No, 25. So that's about 25 more mana regeneration. Or no, I'm sorry, that's 50%, not 30%. So 50 by the 30%, yeah, it's 15. I was right the first time. So 15 more, which brings me up to 65 mana regeneration. Probably would better be used to a Rush's Essence instead. Spirit spells return 100 mana over 10 with this one. So 100 over 10, that's 10 every second. So honestly, it's looking like Spirit Quest might still be better overall. But Rush of Essence gives that back with each spell hit. You know what? They're probably both good. I think I'm going to go ahead and do Rush of Essence, though, instead of Spirit Quest or Vision Quest. Just because I see myself spamming Spirit Barrage a lot more. Vision Quest requires me to pretty much hit with the primary attack, and that's for 5 seconds, whereas I can just sit there and spam Spirit Barrage for a while in order to get the Rush of Essence. So I think that's going to be a better choice. Alright, the next ability comes from Horrify, so what do I want to give up? Mass Confusion. We'll give up Mass Confusion. Horrify. Alright, Frightening Aspect. You gain 35% additional armor for 8 seconds after casting Horrify. So that's pretty nice. Can we use that defensively? So Horrify, Spectral Mask, 18 yards. Enemies are immobilized in fear. Okay, that's right. That is additional change that happened recently. It used to be that Horrify would make enemies run away from you, which is good and bad. One downside, as you may have seen in one of the earlier Witch Doctor videos, is I had, for example, the Firebats. I was channeling Firebats, and my defensive ability at the time was Horrify. It didn't really work out, because I'd sit there, I'd channel my Firebats, they'd get close, I'd start taking damage, so I'd Horrify them to knock them away. Well, then they'd get out of range of the Firebats. With Horrify, I can use that build. I can actually use that build effectively, because I can sit there and Firebats. The moment they get on top of me, I Horrify, and they're immobilized in place, and I can still sit there and keep putting out damage and keep putting out damage. And since they're immobilized, it's believed that they can still attack. It depends. It says they're fearful, so they might still not attack. So instead of just running away, they'll stand still. But just in case, I'm getting additional armor for 8 seconds. The immobilization is only 3 seconds. So I'm getting armor 5 seconds after the fact, so that they stop being immobilized. So I can sit there, use that, immobilize them, keep doing damage, and then when they're snap out of it, I've got additional armor, and I should be able to survive the next hit when they decide to hit me with it. We're not getting rid of the zombie dogs just because we've got the Deadman Finger. It's just, that's too good to give up right now. Alright, so we've got Slam Dance. We've got Horrify defensively, and Spirit Barrage for mana. Because I'm going to get mana back with Spirit Barrage, I don't really need Devouring Storm. I'm going to go ahead and do the Cloud of Insects in order to make it spread out further, and try and benefit the synergy of my Huadrap in order to get more of a slow on the enemy. Now, something I've been trying to do as I move forward here is I just hit an enemy a little bit and hope for the confusion part to hit. See, like that one got charmed for a little bit.
I'll have to pay attention.
Downside is things are dying pretty quickly now, especially since I got that weapon upgrade.
Look, more hidden.
And so it's really kind of hard to try and test the charming abilities of it when they're just dying too quickly. That's an interesting thing about it. I mean, it's not an AoE, so you can only really charge one target as you're hitting it. And then you have to realize that it's charmed while you're using this ability, which hits multiple times in a second. Quite honestly, I'm just not sure that Phlebotomize, the way this works, is quite an ability that I would continue to use. I mean, charming is kind of nice. But the kind of ability it's tied into, I just think you might be able to do better with Spirit Barrage or something else. But it's still kind of neat that it has that feature.
Perhaps Chaldeum shall be where I make my fortune.
Your fortune? I thought you just made trouble.
Well, looks like we hit level 45. Got Medusa spiders for corpse spiders. Got hungry bats for firebats. Passive fierce loyalty, which can be quite nice, especially now that we got the dead man's finger. That will boost the power of our dog. They have changed fierce loyalty a bit. I'm trying to remember what it used to do. Well, let's take a look at what it does now. Because it can be quite helpful. We are... yeah, we'll trade out rush of essence, I think. So, Fierce Loyalty. You can have one additional zombie dog now. So, right, you've got a total of 3 different abilities that can increase the number of zombie dogs you have. This one, while you have your zombie dog, gargantuan, or fetish, and you're not in combat, your movement speed is increased by 30%. So this is a major movement speed increase ability now, which was supposed to help witch doctors to keep up in movement from pack to pack. And as you can see here, I've got a pretty good amount of movement now. Go to my details screen, and my movement speed is now 40%. So my movement speed is over the 25% cap, which is quite nice. Glad to see it. Now, Hungering Bats and Medusa Spiders. These are going to be the new ones. So a new primary and a new secondary. So Medusa Spiders. This goes to cold damage. This throws a jar with paralyzing spiders that have 100% chance to slow enemies by 60% with every attack. So I can slow the enemies down and keep them at bay using this ability. I don't normally like the spiders because of their staggered attacks and because I don't have direct control over them, but it can be nice. We get a slow down on them. And whenever they get close here, we now have Hungry Bats. Rapidly summon bats that seek out nearby enemies for 635% damage as fire. Alright, so pretty much the only one that's not fire is Plague Bats, really. Comparatively, the Firebats is 425, so this is 635. We are compared to, say, Dire Bats, that's 495. That was only a little bit, but they were larger bats that traveled in a line. And this one was a maximum of 638. That's interesting. Hungry Bats and Plague Bats. These bats fly towards the enemy and inflict damage is slow at first, but increase over time to 638. So it's interesting. I would think that this should do more damage than Hungry Bats. I mean, it does, but by only 3%. But Hungry Bats is a little bit different because it's seeking. I think Plague Bats does it in an area, whereas Hungry Bats is kind of staggered. Well, so we'll take a look at that. Beyond that, I think we'll just keep the rest the same. Big Bad Voodoo, summon zombie dogs, of course, and the Swarm. I think we're good. So let's take a look at the Medusa. You can see that the jar is actually frozen and the spiders are cold too. That's kind of neat. And okay, yeah, the bats are very different. So they go out and they're almost like Spirit Barrage in the fact that they hit the enemy. You see that they go out and they hit the enemy. They're a little unreliable though. They're supposed to be seeking, but you can see that sometimes the bats go out in different directions. So not a build I would normally do, especially with the spiders. So what I think we'll do here is we're getting high on time, I think, so, or low on remaining time. We'll go ahead and go through, trigger the ambush to move forward, and then we will...
Outpost, known for just about nothing, really.
Good job, Lyndon. Good job.
Captain of the guard.
Alright, so before we move on, there is one conversation here. Blood ties with Lyndon. We'll go ahead and listen to that.
Do you have any other family?
My brother and I were orphans. We only had each other.
Is he a thief also?
No, he was a member of the city guard.
That seems odd.
Not as much as you might think. Until the end, that is.
You must open.
You must.
Here you are.
There.
No, he would
Alright,
never
so
betray me.
we'll finish this up.
Strike him down.
Your master is the Lord of Lies. You matter not to him.
We're right at Maghda, so we'll probably go ahead and finish her off. And that'll be a good spot.
Not a moment too soon. They plan to sack Iron Wolves.
We've been discovered.
Let's go ahead and get a massive damage boost here with these Seeking Bats. They're pretty cool. I mean, I like the fact that they do seek out the enemy, but they're a little unreliable about how they do it.
Has Maghda?
Yes.
Then you must.
But when they do work, they can definitely do a lot of damage, being 635. Alright, time to see how we do against Maghda with this build. Go ahead and, well, didn't mean to pop that, but that's okay. Throw the Locust on her. Try to take out her minions before they transform. Not 100% successful, but get a whole bunch of these frost spiders out. Just go ahead and throw out the Locust again. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and put down the Slam Dance. We're just gonna spam the...
Let your spirit be at ease, KageKaze.
Oh dear.
The Coven will trouble these lands no more.
I'd had about enough of that woman.
Well, quite a bit of damage there. Now I've noticed that Maghda doesn't have her shield anymore, at least not on these difficulties. I have to confess I haven't played her on higher difficulties in Torment lately, so I don't know for sure. She does have it in her Uber boss fight, so I imagine she probably has it on Torment, but for this difficulty she did not seem to have it. And I agree with Lyndon that I've had about enough of that woman.
New goods today.
Before she beguards,
Then they must. The only chance.
Ashira.
There are many ways to open a door. I happen to know most of them.
Very good. Alright, so with that, since we've gotten Maghda, there were no updates to gear, it looks like, and out of everything I found, really nothing. I found a Blackrock Ledger, but that's about it. I think that's one of the ones I already have, too. I have 8 and 4... No, I have 16, so there we go. Why I'm collecting those, I don't know. It's just a thing. Alright, we'll go ahead and clear out. We are now 46, so that means we have a new build. So let's take a look at what we've earned. We've got the Legion of Daggers. So Big Bad Voodoo is going to go away for that one. I'll wait for that. Paranoia is up. So we'll replace Horrify and go back to Mass Confusion. This gives us Paranoia. All enemies in the area of Mass Confusion take 20% additional damage for 12 seconds, so that's pretty nice. Go in, confuse them, and then make them take additional damage. Even if they don't get confused, they should take that additional damage. Now we are getting Acid Cloud back, and I like that. So let's get rid of the Firebats, because I really don't like hungry bats. They shoot off into different directions, and they're not entirely reliable. So I don't really care for them myself. So let's go back to Acid Cloud. We are now getting Kiss of Death. Spit a cloud of acid that deals 330% weapon damage as poison. It is followed by 396 damage as poison over 3. So we get 330 and then another 396. So the poison damage over time component, let's go ahead and take a look at that, shall we? That's 396 over 3. That is 132 weapon damage a second. So we take a look at normal Acid Cloud is 300, so that's 330, it's 30% more. And then it's 360 over time, this is 396, so 36 more for that one. As comparative to, let's say, Love Blah Bomb, which is 600 over 5. So 300 then 600 over 5. What is a 600 over 5? That's 120, so that's not too bad. Big thing about Kiss of Death, though, is it's not really a standard Acid Cloud. It is a cloud of acid that spits out from me, so I am the point of origin, and it goes out like that. So it's pretty cool looking, though. I really do like the aesthetic of it, so it's kind of neat. 330 and then 396, so I can do a bunch of damage over time with that. It's not too bad. I can make do with that. Alright, so Big Bad Voodoo is going away for Fetish Army. We're getting the Legion of Daggers. Increases the number of dagger-wielding fetishes summoned by 3. So you normally get 5 dagger-wielding fetishes for 20 seconds. So I'm going to get 8 in total. So that's quite a bit for 20 seconds. And what we can do is I can use that, and you'll see my timer. I'll just go ahead and show it off here. See they appear, and there it is. Total of 8 fetishes at my side. So we're sitting pretty here. Let's go ahead and looks like we have one more thing from Lyndon. So ending it with Maghda is pretty good. This episode is probably going to go a little bit long, just because of that. But I wanted to give a little bit more since I hadn't gotten but maybe 2 levels. This will be the 3rd level, and of course the boss fight is kind of nice. So there's a pretty good amount of content for this one. So let's go ahead and real quick, let's talk to Lyndon. Brothers divided.
Why did you not follow your brother into the guards?
We're not much alike, really. He was always dependable and practical. A complete bore, I'd say.
And you were drawn to trouble.
Hardly. I was just amusing myself with the Thieves' Guild. It was nothing serious.
Until you became a criminal.
That may have been serious.
Just a tiny bit serious. Alright, as much as I love Locust Swarm, its mana cost is pretty high. If I'm going to use it, I'm probably going to go up to Pestilence, and I think that's probably... I like that because as a slow component. Honestly, I've been playing with the Cloud of Insects, which doubles the time, which is nice, but Pestilence makes it spread quickly, so the slow is more guaranteed. But I am thinking of changing my primary. Probably go back to Poison Darts. Do I have any elemental damage on me right now? I have Plague of Toads, Poison Dart, so good, Poison Darts increase, and I have Fire damage increase. So as much as I really don't care for the Flaming Dart because of it doesn't do instant damage, it still can be nice. So I'm going to pick up Flaming Dart for the fire damage increase. Alright, so we've got the Kiss of Death, Pestilence. Do we have any other elements there? Oh, Searing Locust, but I don't have it yet. I could turn that into the Firebats, but since I'm using Acid Cloud, I really don't want to have another major spammable damage source. I want to have something that I can put out there and not have to worry about. And in this case, Locust Swarm fits the bill. And it matches for the legendary items that I'm using. Just seems to work out better that way. Alright, so keeping the zombie dogs with burning dogs since we've got additional fire damage. Zombie dogs versus the flames, 20% weapon damage is fire every second. Yeah, so that really works. I really just like keeping these. Fierce Loyalty will allow me to continue to move faster, and then I just like the Fetish Sycophants. I just really like having them. I like having those pets out, constantly doing additional damage. What might I change them out if I were to change out? Well, I could make my dog even better. That is a possibility. I haven't needed Spirit Vessel, but I don't like running without it. It's pretty nice. I prefer rather not die if I can avoid it. But in this case, since I have the one dog and he is more powerful than all the dogs combined, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get myself Zombie Handler. We're going to not get the Sycophants anymore. Since I got the Fetish Army, I guess we'll consider that it. So my dog is now more powerful, even though you can't see it here. If I were to remove the ring, of course it instantly destroys the dog, and I have to wait for the cooldown. Well, while I'm waiting for that cooldown, I'm pretty sure I don't have any weapons to get. Just making sure there isn't anything else. Looks like I might actually get rid of my belt, because I can get a better belt here. I probably won't. I'm going to hold on to what I've got for now, just to keep the effect. And I'm not going to be making any of the Uglid set unless I can get... Well, if I were to get rid of the belt, that would give me 2, so I could do a 2-piece Uglids. That's a probability. Well, let's just go ahead and try and make a better set of gloves. And fail. One more time. Let's see, attack speed more than like. Yeah, because that's only 2%. But I lose quite a bit. Alright, failed at the gloves twice, so we're not going to do that. One more time at the helmet, and make up the 2. Oh, well, only a loss of 0.3 damage. Gain 1.5 toughness, but gain 24 healing because of the life on hit compared to the regenerate. Oh, man, that's a tough one. Let's go ahead and wear it. Honestly, I'm thinking I want to get Oglid's. Maybe I'll get rid of the belt, make Oglid's helm to see how it rolls, because there's so much defense that could be gained on that, and then find something else to roll. What's good? Shoulders could be good. What does that got? Vitality and armor and experience. Life and armor. Vitality, armor, critical hit chance. It's got critical hit chance on it, huh? What's my critical hit chance? 11. Would be nice to have a guaranteed critical hit chance. Life and armor I really haven't needed. And with the helmet, I'm pretty much guaranteed to get something good there. Life and armor. Vital armor, life armor. Vital armor, but monster. No, let's go ahead and auto do. Alright, we'll do the bracers. Let's get rid of the belt. So I'm going to lose the pestilence, I guess. But also, I'll go ahead and keep Locust Swarm on my bar. I just won't get the slow on it. So we're going to say goodbye to this legendary. Let's go ahead and make a belt. 0.5 damage increase. 22% healing increase. It's also got Poison Dart increase on it, which is nice, so that'll synergize pretty well here. I'm losing Resol, so I'm losing some toughness. But overall not bad, because we can see my fire... Poison Dart damage is now 26 increase. So that's pretty good. Let's go ahead and salvage this, make 2-piece Auglids. So I will actually have a 2-piece set bonus going. That's pretty nice. I like that. Alright, let's go ahead and craft.
I was caught stealing once.
Oh, a loss of 5% damage, plus the fire damage reduction. That kind of sucks. Alright, but it is a little bit of crit. It is more toughness and healing. And with the 2-piece set, I'm going to lose a little bit of melee damage. I'm just going to go ahead and use it. Since I'm losing fire skills, I'm going to go ahead and trade out my Poison Dart, Flaming Dart for, I think, Poisons. I like Splinters. I just like Splinters. It's a skill I've always cared for. Always kind of liked. So go ahead and get rid of those. And I will grab the Peak. Let's just give it a shot. I just feeling adventurous. Let's see how it looks. I gain damage. Oddly enough, it says I lose toughness. Even though strength and dex are both armor. And it rolled with armor. I mean, this thing's got 312 armor. Why am I losing toughness? Is it because I'm losing vital? But notice how the toughness is minor. I think the game overvalues vitality. I really do. I feel like you can gain so much more out of it. But it also rolled with a socket. And since we're getting, what, perfect sets of gems now, I can throw a perfect one of these amethysts in here, and look at that. Instantly better stats for toughness. So I'll lose some healing. That's fine. Let's go ahead and put that on. So there we go. I was going to show off the dogs real quick. There we go. See, I have 5 dogs following me around, and if I were to later pick it with Midnight Feast, I could have 6. I think that's pretty cool. Alright, let's go ahead and put the ring back on so they combine into one massive beast! But I won't summon it now. Won't have to worry about the cooldown, because it is the end of the video and we're going to be moving on. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It's good to be back on the Witch Doctor. Looking forward to playing him some more, getting some more builds out there. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the random hardcore challenge I've been doing with my Demon Hunter as well. That's been kind of fun, because it just really forces me to play differently, especially when the possibility of death is very real at any given time. And then, of course, doing that with a random build as well, so I never know what I'm going to get. It's been very interesting. So hopefully you've enjoyed that. I will be back with this character. I will be back with the Crusader eventually as well. I think I'm going to focus more on the Witch Doctor, try and get up to Act 5. Since Act 5 is something I haven't done through this playthrough, I will be focusing, once I get to Act 5, on the story there. So you'll probably see a little bit slower leveling, a little bit less of the going over the builds as I go over, and probably talk more about the story of the new expansion as things go forward. And it'll be the first time I experience some of that story too, because I kind of blitzed through Act 5 just to unlock everything, and I haven't really taken the time to sit through it. So I think it's a good time to analyze it is by sitting there and actually just listening through it as I record it for this video series. So just be advised that that will happen once I get to Act 5. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for watching, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys next